My brothers and sisters, one of the hardest things to deal with in life is loss. Not just the loss of a job, not just the loss of opportunities, but the loss of people. There are moments in life when people we care about walk away, relationships fall apart, and connections that once felt unbreakable are suddenly broken. In those moments, it's natural to feel confused, hurt, and even abandoned. We question what went wrong, what we could have done differently, or why God would allow such disconnection. But what we often don't see in real time is that God isn't removing people from our lives to punish us. He's removing them to protect us. God sees things we can't see. He hears conversations we're not in. He knows the condition of people's hearts, even when their words sound sweet and their actions seem loyal. While we're busy looking at the outward appearance, God is examining the inside. So when he steps in and causes a separation, it's not to harm us. It's to shield us from a hidden danger, a future betrayal, or a spiritual weight that would pull us down. What feels like loss is often divine protection. Sometimes we're so emotionally attached to someone that we can't see how unhealthy the connection really is. We mistake chemistry for calling. We confuse history with destiny. Just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they're meant to stay for a lifetime. Longevity does not equal assignment. There are people who were only meant to be in your life for a season. They served a purpose in that season. But once that purpose is fulfilled, holding on becomes harmful. It's like trying to wear a winter coat in the middle of summer. What once kept you warm now weighs you down. God knows how tightly we can hold on to people. He knows how difficult it is for us to let go, even when it's for our good. So sometimes, instead of waiting for us to release them willingly, he removes them forcefully. That breakup, that friendship that faded, that connection that ended abruptly, you may not understand it now, but it could be God intervening for your protection. He saw what they were planning. He saw the distraction they were becoming. He saw the way they were hindering your growth, even if you didn't notice it yet. And in his love, not in his anger, he stepped in. This is why trust is so critical. When God takes someone out of your life, you've got to trust that he knows what he's doing. He's not trying to punish you. He's not trying to leave you lonely. He's creating space for peace, for growth, and eventually for the right people to enter. Sometimes we're so full of the wrong company that there's no room for the ones God actually sent. He clears out what's toxic so that what's healthy can take root. Think about the Israelites in the wilderness. God didn't just lead them out of Egypt to punish them. He was protecting them from a life of slavery. But because they didn't understand his process, they wanted to go back. That's what many of us do. We look back at broken relationships and try to return to what God already delivered us from. We chase after what he removed. But when God removes, it's not rejection, it's redirect. So instead of mourning who left, start trusting the one who stayed, because God knows what and who you need to fulfill your purpose. And if he removed them, then he's making a way for something better to come. Not to punish, but to protect. Not to harm, but to heal. And if you can hold on to that truth, peace will follow. One of the hardest lessons to learn in life is that not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some people are great for your past, helpful for your present, but completely unqualified for your future. As much as we want certain people to walk with us into every season of life, the reality is that not everyone is meant to stay. And the sooner we come to terms with that, the sooner we can stop dragging the wrong people into places God never intended them to be. There are people who were blessings for a season. They helped you grow, they encouraged you, maybe they even stood by you when things were tough. But seasons change, and when they do, God may call you to keep moving while they stay where they are. If you try to force someone into a season that weren't built for, both of you will suffer. You'll feel held back. You'll start noticing friction where there used to be flow. That's not always a sign of betrayal. Sometimes it's just divine transition. Think about Abraham in the Bible. God gave him a call, a promise, and a destiny. But in order to walk in it, he had to leave behind his country, his kindred, and his father's house. That wasn't just a physical move, it was a relational one. God was separating Abraham from familiar people so he could take him to unfamiliar heights. And when Abraham took Lot with him, someone God never told him to bring, it eventually caused conflict. The land couldn't support both of them. That's what happens when you bring people into your destiny who weren't assigned to it. The weight of their presence creates problems in places where God intended peace. You see, purpose is personal. Your calling is tailor-made. It's not a group project. You can have community, but not everyone in your community is meant to walk with you into every chapter of your calling. Some people are lessons, others are stepping stones. A few are divine connections, but you must have the discernment to know which is which. Because if you confuse a seasonal person with a lifetime assignment, you'll spend your energy trying to hold together something that God is trying to release. And don't let guilt make you keep people in your life that God has already removed from your future. Sometimes we feel obligated because of shared history. They were there for me back then. We've been through so much together. That may all be true, but the question is, are they helping you move forward or are they holding you back? Are they pushing you closer to God's purpose or pulling you back into comfort zones? Sentiment should never override assignment. When you start growing spiritually, emotionally, or even professionally, not everyone will grow with you, and that's okay. Don't try to shrink your purpose to fit someone else's comfort level. If they can't handle your growth, your vision, or your calling, it's not your job to slow down. It's your job to stay faithful. Elevation requires separation. And sometimes God will remove the people who can't go where you're going so you can run without resistance. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you're better than them. It just means God has something different for you. And trying to take everyone with you will only delay what God wants to do through you. Letting go isn't always rejection, it's obedience. And when you're obedient, God can align your life with the right people, the right purpose, and the right path. Not everyone is meant for your destiny, and that's not a loss. That's divine order. Growth sounds good until it starts to cost you something. Everybody wants to grow, but nobody wants to be pruned. The word pruning doesn't feel pleasant. It sounds like cutting, removing, trimming. And that's exactly what it is. But the cutting is not to destroy you, it's to develop you. It's not to harm you. It's to help you bear more fruit. If you've been asking God to grow you, to elevate you, to expand you, then don't be surprised when he starts cutting some things and some people out of your life. In John 15, Jesus says every branch that bears fruit, he prunes so that it may bear more fruit. That means God doesn't just prune the dead stuff. He also prunes what's alive and working. Why? Because good can become the enemy of best. God wants you to be more fruitful, not just functional. He's not satisfied with you surviving when he created you to thrive. So in his love, he begins to cut. Look at any healthy tree or vine and you'll notice it's been pruned. The gardener has removed the weaker branches so the stronger ones can get more nourishment. If you leave every branch to grow wild, the plant looks full, but it won't bear fruit. That's what happens in our lives when we're too busy with everything and everyone. Too many distractions, too many voices, too many attachments, and we wonder why we're overwhelmed, spiritually dry, or stuck in cycles. God says, let me cut that back so you can move forward. Pruning doesn't always mean something's wrong. It often means something's right. You're in a place where God sees potential and he wants to bring more out of you. But more requires space. Space to breathe, space to focus, space to grow deeper roots. So he starts cutting the excess, the unnecessary, the unfruitful. Sometimes even the things we thought were helping us, but were really holding us back. And pruning isn't just about relationships. Sometimes God prunes your habits. He convicts you to drop things that used to bring you comfort because they no longer serve your calling. He interrupts your patterns. He stirs your spirit. He makes you uncomfortable in the places you used to be content. That's pruning too. It's not punishment. It's promotion. If you're being pruned, that's a sign that you're still connected to the vine. Because God only prunes what's alive. If he's working on you, he hasn't given up on you. And even though it hurts in the moment, there's purpose in the pain. The pruning is for your future. It's for your fruit. It's for the version of you that God sees even when you don't. So the next time you feel the cut, the shift, the loss, or the uncomfortable changes, remember this. You ask God to grow you. This is how he answers. Not by giving you more to carry, but by cutting what weighs you down. Not by keeping everything the same, but by shaping you into who you always meant to be. Growth and pruning go hand in hand. If you want one, you must accept the other. Obedience to God is often celebrated when it means doing something bold or stepping into something new. We shout about walking through open doors, accepting big assignments, and saying yes to opportunities. But obedience doesn't always look like action. Sometimes obedience looks like release. Sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is let go, letting go of people, letting go of plans, letting go of what you thought your life would look like. And that kind of obedience, quiet, painful, personal, is often the most difficult to live out. There are moments in your walk with God when he will ask you to release something that feels important to you. It could be a relationship you thought would last forever. It could be a dream you've been building for years. It could even be an identity you've wrapped yourself in that no longer fits where he's taking you. And in those moments, you'll be tempted to hold on. You want to reason with God. Negotiate a little. Maybe delay your obedience until it feels easier. But delayed obedience is still disobedience. God doesn't just want your actions. He wants your surrender. Letting go is not weakness. It takes strength to release something when your heart is still attached to it. But obedience is not based on how you feel. It's based on who you trust. And if you trust that God sees the whole picture, then you have to believe that when he says let it go, he's not trying to take something from you. He's trying to make room for something better. There's a story in the Bible that captures this so clearly. In Genesis 22, God tells Abraham to offer up his son Isaac, the child he had waited decades for. Now God is saying, lay him on the altar. That didn't make any sense. Isaac was the promise. Isaac was a miracle, but Abraham didn't argue. He obeyed. And just as he was about to go through with it, God stopped him and provided a ram in the bush. See, God never intended to take Isaac away. He intended to see if Abraham trusted him more than the blessing. Sometimes God will test your obedience, not because he wants to strip you, but because he wants to know if you love the gift more than the giver. Obedience requires faith. Faith that what God is asking you to let go of is no longer necessary for your next step. Faith that your future is safer in God's hands than your past is in yours. When God asks you to release something, it's because he knows what it's costing you to keep it. He knows what it's blocking. He knows how it's draining you, delaying you, and distracting you from the assignment on your life. But many times we cling to things because of comfort. We hold on out of fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of uncertainty. But you cannot step into what's next while still holding on to what's behind. At some point you have to decide, will I cling to what I know, or will I trust the God who knows all? Letting go might look like losing something in the short term, but in the long run, it's the pathway to freedom. It clears the clutter from your life. It creates space for clarity. It aligns you with the timing and flow of God's will. And when you obey, especially when it's hard, you're saying to God, I trust you more than I trust my own understanding. So when God speaks, don't second guess. Don't hesitate. Don't drag your feet. Be willing to let go of what no longer fits, even if it once felt right. Because obedience isn't always about taking on more. Sometimes it's about releasing what was never meant to stay. Rejection is one of the most painful human experiences. Whether it comes through a broken relationship, a closed door, a missed opportunity, or the feeling of being overlooked, it cuts deep. It stirs up questions in your soul. Questions about your worth, your purpose, and even your identity. But what feels like rejection from people is often redirection from God. It's his way of steering you away from something that was never meant for. When God allows a door to close, it's not because he's cruel, it's because he's wise. He sees the full picture. He knows what's on the other side of that opportunity. He knows the long-term cost of that relationship you were so desperate to keep. He knows the storm that would have come with that job you thought was perfect. So instead of giving you what you asked for, he gives you what you actually need, even if it hurts in the moment. That's not rejection. That's love in action. Sometimes God will block what you're praying for because it doesn't align with his plan for your life. You might be asking for something good, but not everything good is God's best. And when you don't get what you wanted, the enemy will try to lie to you. He'll whisper that you weren't good enough, that you're messed up, that you're not worthy. But none of that is true. You weren't rejected because you were unworthy. You were redirected because God is sovereign. He's protecting your purpose. Think about Joseph. He was rejected by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. From the outside looking in, it looked like setback after setback. But God was using every rejection as a redirection, moving Joseph closer to the palace, closer to purpose, closer to destiny. And when the time was right, Joseph didn't just survive the rejection, he rose because of it. What others meant for evil, God turned for good. That's what God does. He uses rejection as a tool to reposition you. That closed door might have saved you years of heartache. That breakup might have protected your calling. That opportunity that didn't come through might have made room for something far greater. It may not feel good, but it's working for your good. And here's the thing, God doesn't just redirect you for your benefit. He also redirects you for the benefit of others. Your life is not just about you. There are people tied to your obedience. People whose lives will be impacted by where God is taking you. If he left you where you wanted to be, you might have missed the chance to reach them. So he reroutes you, not to punish, but to position you for greater impact. But in the middle of rejection, it's easy to lose sight of all that. You may be tempted to go back to chase what left, to beg for what's already gone. Don't. What God removes, he removes with purpose. And whatever he has ahead is not behind the thing he told you to walk away from. Keep your eyes forward. Keep your faith anchored. The path may not look like what you imagined, but it's leading you to a place of promise. So the next time you face rejection, don't curse it. Don't fall apart. Don't think God forgot you. Instead, thank him. Thank him for every no, every goodbye, every detour, because in the hands of God, rejection is never the end. It's just a redirection to a better beginning. And what God has for you is still ahead. There are seasons in life when loss feels overwhelming. A relationship ends, a door closes, a friendship fades, or something you were holding on to slips through your hands. In those moments, it's tempting to believe that you've been left empty, that what's gone will never be replaced. But God never takes something away without having something better in mind. He doesn't leave voids. He creates space. And when he removes something or someone from your life, it's not to leave you broken, it's to prepare you for better. God sees what you can't see. He knows what's coming. He understands what fits your future and what doesn't. So when he steps in and allows a shift to happen, it's always intentional. You might not understand it at the time. You might even fight to keep what's leaving. But eventually, if you keep walking with him, you'll see that what felt like subtraction was really the setup for addition. Better doesn't always look how you expect. Sometimes better is peace where there was chaos. Sometimes it's clarity where there was confusion. Sometimes it's growth where there was stagnation. You may have been asking God for something new, something greater, something deeper, but in order to give it to you, he has to make room. And making room often requires a release. We often pray for blessings, but struggle when the blessing doesn't come in the package we imagined. We ask God for strength, and he removes the people who were enabling our weakness. We ask for purpose, and he strips away everything that was distracting us from it. We ask for real love, and he closes the door on the counterfeit. It doesn't always feel like a gift in the moment, but if you trust him, you'll see the beauty in the exchange. Think about Ruth. She lost her husband, left her home, and followed Naomi into an uncertain future. From the outside, it looked like a life that had been emptied. But God was preparing her for Boaz, for restoration, and for a legacy far greater than what she lost. If Ruth had stayed where it was familiar, she never would have stepped into the field where her future was waiting. Sometimes better is waiting in the unfamiliar. Sometimes better is hiding in the place you didn't want to go. And when God replaces, he doesn't just give you back what you had, he gives you more than you expected. That's the kind of God he is. He's not in the business of leaving your life empty. He's in the business of filling your life with purpose, joy, and the right people who match the calling he placed on you. You may have lost what was good, but he's preparing what's best. But here's the key. You have to be willing to let go of what left so you can receive what's coming. If your hands are full of the past, you won't have room for the future. If your heart is still tied to what God has already removed, you won't be open to what he's trying to place in your life now. Release is not just about loss, it's about readiness. Letting go says, God, I trust you. I believe you've got better. And I'm ready to receive it. So no matter what walked away, what ended, or what shifted, keep your eyes on the promise, not the pain. Keep your faith rooted in the one who sees the end from the beginning. Because better is not just a possibility with God, it's a guarantee when you walk according to his will. He's not finished with your story. He's just getting started with the better he's already prepared.